and a greater sense of awareness. Allow yourself, with each breath, to go deeper, transcending the illusion of fear, the illusion of separation, but total and complete oneness with each other and our Creator and all living things. We invite our native ancestors to enter this space and bless us with their healing and their wisdom. Whatever you choose to be resolved, to be healed, transformed from fear to love, place it in this vortex of pure white healing light at this moment. This moment, we are reborn in love. We give thanks for this sacred gift and ask that we be an instrument of God God's perfect peace in all we do. We place our future, our hearts, in the hands of love and know that all is well. So it is. Well, a few weeks back, I shared a joke out of this little book here, and I just love it. Peggy Truman was kind enough to share this with me, and there's just a lot of little gems and philosophies in here, and it's actually titled Plato and Platypus Walk into a Bar, Understanding Philosophy Through Jokes. And it's just great because, you know, we can learn through joy. We don't have to learn through pain and suffering. And there's so many cute little stories and jokes in here, but I'm going to share a little joke. A man arrives at the gates of heaven. So Peter asked, religion? The man says, Methodist. St. Peter looks down at his list and says, go to room 28, but be very quiet as you pass by room 8. Another man at the gates of heaven says, my religion's Baptist. St. Peter says, go to the room 18, but be very quiet as you pass room 8. A third man arrives at the gates, religion, I'm Jewish. Go to room 11, but be very quiet as you pass room 8. The man says, I can't understand there being different rooms for different religions. I can understand there being different rooms for different religions, but why must I be quiet when I pass room 8? St. Peter says, the Jehovah's Witnesses are in room 8, and they think they're the only ones here. There you go. Just, sometimes I think we think we're the only ones here too, but we're not. And we're one with the Jehovah's Witnesses, the Methodists, the Baptists, and everyone else. Everyone else. So yesterday I had actually Bill Brobile, and I'm not sure if anyone else is over there right now. Is anyone with Bill now?
Jagdish.
Jagdish, that's right. They are at the Illuminate conference at over at the Blue Ridge Community College. It's a wonderful little expo. This is the first year. They had a nice showing and lots of great vendors and readers, and we have a Namaste table there. And it was fun yesterday. I was there for a few hours, and I want to thank everyone who volunteered. I know that Sotar and Ron and Dottie were there all day, and Kathleen. Did I miss anyone in here today? Oh, and Claire, there's Claire. Oh, and Claire, you know how the universe works divinely. Claire made me a couple of years ago the most awesome Swarovski crystal and turquoise necklace with a beautiful turquoise cross on it. I love it, and I had it on yesterday. I'm standing by the booth. There sits Claire, and I'm standing here like this, just talking to somebody, and all of a sudden, the thing breaks apart. I was like, oh my gosh, what happened? Well, Claire's like, don't worry, I'll fix it and have it back tomorrow. Now, thank God, I mean, I'm sorry that it happened, but the fact that Claire was there and she had it back today and it's fixed. Thank you, Claire. That was a miracle. So sometimes when not so fun things happen, if we just have faith and trust, the universe always does have our back. And I know that to be true in so many instances. Well, what was that person saying? Yeah, that's right. What was that person saying to me? I need to think about that. That's a good thing. Good morning.
So your arms folded.
Yeah, that's right. I have my arms folded, and I'll have to think about that. But anyway, part of the conference was or the expo, they had a number of guest speakers there. And as a result, I was asked to be one of them, and it was really great. And I spoke on my favorite topic, non-duality, because it's so much in my field, in my belief right now, that that's where the next phase of our spiritual evolution lies, is in non-duality. And I shared a little bit with the group, and I've shared this over the past years. We have the group now on Wednesday nights. It's Course in Miracles, Living in Non-Duality. And the Course in Miracles teaches that in truth, we're not separate. We've fallen asleep. We believe that we're not only separate from our Creator, but we are separate from each other, and we've set up all these reasons to think that we can't live in oneness, in peace and harmony. And we are always pointing our fingers, well, I can't love that, I can't accept that, I can't join with that. And as a result, that's perpetuating our separation. And then we go into our stories of, all the reasons why I can't be happy, why I can't forgive, and ain't it awful, and we recycle this, and the pain was just too great, and I can't let it go. And so we always are trying to find excuses to stay stuck in our story, in our drama. Now, there's lots, I don't think we have to stay there anymore. As a matter of fact, I know we don't have to stay there. I'm not saying it's an easy journey to awakening, but I do know there's resources out there to support our awakening. And, just for example, if we just have that little bit of willingness, the perfect person or the perfect situation will show up to support us in whatever we need. It's a matter of faith and willingness and open-heartedness. I believe for every problem, there is a solution. I believe Wayne Dyer wrote a book called For Every Problem, There is a Spiritual Solution. And that's where I choose to abide and reside these days, and know that if I just allow myself to let go, I don't have to figure out who's going to fix my necklace when it breaks. It's just all taken care of, and it's never failed me. Now sometimes when I'm clinging too tight, I don't make space. It's like a big kink in the hose, nothing can get through there when I'm holding on to my story or my past. But there's great therapists, some of which are in this room right now, and healers, and things we can do to support our awakening if we allow ourselves to do so. So it's, I've been watching the news. I have to say, sometimes when I share things, people say, well, I didn't know that happened. That's something. So I give you all a lot of credit that don't watch the news. But then, for those of you that do or aren't aware, I'm going to tell you, this has not been an easy week in our country. Not to mention the rest of the world. We won't go there. But in this past week alone, as we know last month, that at that gay bar in Orlando, there were 50 people murdered by a terrorist or whatever. They were murdered. This past week there were 2 cop killings in Louisiana. There was a civilian, a cop who killed a civilian in Louisiana, and one in Minnesota. Thank you, in Minnesota. So the anger that came from that also created a massive outbreak of cop killings in Dallas, Texas. And so there's a lot of hostility and anger coming to the surface in the world right now, all over the place. And, it's real easy, depending on which news station you watch, which viewpoint, people have their strong viewpoints and ideas about this. But I find that 2 things. First, people are clinging so tight to their viewpoints, which for the majority part of what you're hearing on the news is to make wrong and right, perpetuating more separation. They're bad, they're good, this is evil, this is okay, and on, but all of those are perpetuating more separation and anger. And then, I will say though, on the other hand, I have noticed that many people have come to the forefront with the realization that, you know what, this is not working. And that's where, you know, I'm of the belief, you know, the system that we've been operating from is not working so good. And because this is a time for us to either recognize the system's not working and that we do have the power and the tools to transform all of this chaos and fear into light and love, or we can go down that dark path of more separation, more anger, and more conflict. Now, the one thing I do believe that as spiritual beings, and I think we all could attest to this, or I'll speak for myself, that when we make that deep spiritual commitment, everything unlike light, unlike love, comes to the surface. So if I'm saying, okay, Spirit, I'm yours, I place my life and heart in your hands, and I trust the process, well, it's like, Charlotte, you got this block, that block, and you're judging here, you're judging there. So everything is coming up in a big, you know, right in my face as an opportunity, not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. I recognize this is not something to be afraid of, but rather something to embrace and heal. Because how can I ascend in consciousness if I'm still holding these heavy thought systems and beliefs and judgments about myself and others in my field? So every time these things come towards me, or actually project from me, I should say, in truth, it's an opportunity for forgiveness and healing. And I do have great faith because I've practiced this enough to know that every time that something comes up, I have a choice, and the choice I make determines how my relationship with this situation is and how I proceed forward. You know, but we have to be willing to step up and step in a bigger, more positive, open-hearted way. Well, I won't even get into the election stuff. You know, it's mind-boggling to me. I mean, man, you can't make that stuff up. And but I was with my parents this week in West Virginia for a couple of days, and as I think I've mentioned in the past, they are Fox News people. And not only do they like to have it on, they have it on 3 TVs as loud as it'll go. And so I got my brainwash this week, or tried to. But I did, so the day, just picture this, I'll tell you a couple of situations that my father sits in the family room, TV blaring, he's got his little desk, and he sits in the same chair, and that's pretty much, so if I want to be with my father, and he loves to have us around, but he really doesn't engage in conversation, you know. He just likes to know we're there, and if I'm not there, I'll hear him asking, where's Charlotte go? And so it's like, doesn't really want to be conversing, but likes to do that. So anyway, I got to hear plenty of everything this week on Fox News in that perspective. So that was interesting. Also, my mother, one of the reasons I went up, my sister, who's up there most of the time, she lives there, takes care of my parents, and takes them to the doctors and things like that. And my mother had a follow-up appointment, and what happened, she had cataract surgery. Now my mother is 86, she's not in the best of health at all. She's now fully in a wheelchair and oxygen, and but good spirits, losing her memory somewhat, but very sweet, very positive, never complains. So anyway, and she doesn't really like to leave the house. And so I had to take her for her follow-up eye appointment. And I asked my father, now where is this eye doctor? Where is it? He said, oh, it's on 6th Avenue and 14th Street. I said, okay, I know where that is. So I pulled into what I thought was the doctor's office. You know, you're lifting dead weight out into the wheelchair, oxygen tank. You know, I'm pushing the wheelchair. My mother's caretaker is pushing the oxygen tank, and, you know, get her to the door, and it's closed. And I said, oh, that's weird. So then I'm like, well, shoot, this isn't even the right building. And I said, well, I'll be darned if I'm going to push her all the way back to that car, load her up, and take her to the next block. So here's Betty and me pushing my mother down the sidewalk in the wheelchair, with the oxygen tank, but good news is she made it, and so that was my experience in West Virginia this week. And, she was very positive. It was a good outcome at the end. So anyway, always interesting. I love my parents, and it's always great to be home and to be able to support them. And that's something that I know a lot of us have been through. Dealing with a parent or a loved one who's gone through a major situation. And I have to say, although I'm aware and I'm not thrilled about the situation, to say the least, I'm very peaceful with it because I'm constantly choosing to see their sweetness, their perfection, rather than the illusion of their suffering. And so the more I focus on that, the more that emerges. And yes, it's sad, but I don't have to be pulled into the sadness of the situation. I can maintain a sense of peace, I can be there in love, and know that their greatest good is unfolding, as well as mine along the way. So it's a journey I think we all have taken or will take if we still have parents, or have lost them recently. And there is, like everything else, an opportunity of how we experience it. Well, back to the news for a second here, just for 1 second, and this is just something cute I read. My desire to be well informed is currently at odds with my desire to remain sane. And there you have it. So a great quote based on this, we think that it's everything that's happening out here that's making me upset and angry. And the only reason that's the case is because I've attached meaning and judgment to it. Bottom line, I can say it's because of this terrorist or that person or this person that's making me angry, or this situation with my parents or whatever, I'm sad. But really it's the meaning we attach to it. So again, responsibility for sight. Marianne Williamson says, and I've shared this before, but it's until we've met the monsters in ourselves, we keep trying to slay them in the outer world, and we find we cannot. For all darkness in the world stems from darkness in the heart, and that's where we must do our own work. Period. We think it's out there, it's not, it's all here. This world we see is a projection of my thoughts about it. We don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we are. And this is another great statement. Once you have held court with the demons in your brain, people and life don't scare us anymore. People could never do to us what we do to our own selves. And that's really a powerful statement. We're really our greatest enemy. We really are. Because again, we think it's this situation, this person, this condition that's making me upset. But until we slay those demons, hold court with them, and say, no, the light is more powerful than this. This situation does not have to suck me in again. I can be at peace. And then to understand that nobody could destroy us more than we can destroy ourselves. And when we take responsibility for that, I really believe that everything else can melt away. I believe that we draw to us exactly who and what we need to support our awakening if we have that desire. But we have to have that little bit of willingness, that desire to overcome it. This is a prophecy from the Native Americans, and I feel like we're sort of here right now. They will come to a fork in the road. One road will lead to materialism and destruction for almost all living creatures. The other road will lead to a spiritual way upon which the native people will be standing. This path will lead to the lighting of the eighth fire, a period of eternal peace, harmony, and a new earth where destruction of the past will be healed. And I believe that this is our turning point. This is not by accident. This is not a mistake that everything is coming up to the surface. This election is insane. I mean, really, when you think about it, it is freaking insane. And but I know there's a holy purpose in here. I mean, there's got to be, you know, there is, and I know that. And it's to the point now where it's like, okay, this is a turning point. We're coming to that fork in the road. Are we going to choose more of the same and destruction and not honoring our land and not honoring each other? Or are we going to choose the path to peace and enlightenment? And it really doesn't matter what everyone else is doing. It really only matters what I'm doing and what you're doing. And the more that each and every one of us do this, choose to take that path to peace and eternal love and oneness, the whole world will be lifted by that. This is a little bit of a twist here. Because I find this, a lot of people will question me on this. And this, Desmond Tutu says, if you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. So that sounds like it contradicts what I've been talking about. And I think about that all the time because I really appreciate Desmond Tutu and what he says and his heart and his teachings. And so it's like, well, my goal is neutrality. And so what does that really mean? If I choose neutrality in the midst of all this chaos, what does that mean? Well, for me, after pondering that, I still choose neutrality. And I know that there is injustice happening in the world. But what I also know that I'm choosing to be led in love, to be part of the awakening rather than the perpetuation of the injustice and the separation. So by being led, that's my decision. I'm neutral, but I'm actually making a decision to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. Because, you know, we are divine beings, every one of us. Not just us. I mean, I know that, you know, not just us, but everyone. Even those, you know, people we think are schmucks. And they are too. They're divine beings playing their perfect role, okay? And so it's time for us to focus, you know, on the bliss, the peace, the beauty, and the truth of life. If we focus our energy on those things, that's what will manifest. If we focus on our divinity, and the divinity in everyone, no one exempt, that's the tricky part, no one exempt, okay? No matter what, I always say, no matter what, it's all good, it's all perfect. No matter what, there is no place where God isn't. God is everywhere. I mean, it might not seem like it, but it's up to us to really change our vision, change our experience. It's about us being peaceful in the eye of the storm. When there's all these hurricanes and storms brewing out here, it's about us choosing peace, knowing that there is a bigger plan unfolding, knowing that the truth of who I am is far greater than any problem or situation in the world. I spoke a little bit yesterday about emotional intelligence, and I've spoken about it here in the past as well. And emotional intelligence is something that came sort of 20 years ago popular. And actually when I was still playing golf competitively, you know, that was like something we all wanted to know more about. Because emotional intelligence is really managing our emotions, not getting, because if you want to be a good golfer, I'll just use that as an example. If I miss a shot or miss a putt, okay, and you can relate this to anything in life, and I allow my emotions to go crazy and get upset and angry, I can pretty much assure you that my next shot's not going to be so wonderful because I'm going to be carrying that anger and frustration into the next situation. Well, same holds true for everything in life. You know, those, you know, in the past, it's, you know, when I was growing up, IQ tests were really big, and it's like, oh, I have such as IQ, and it's wonderful, and I'm so smart, and you know, whatever, and if, oh, your IQ's only that, and they find that the people with the highest IQs are not the most successful. And so, that's been shot out of the water. They say the people with the emotional intelligence, emotional quotient, those who are able to manage their emotions, are those who really are the ones who are most successful, because they're able to stay present and not get sucked into the storm every time something doesn't go their way. Well, same thing, I think I heard this first from Greg Braden a few years back. We've also heard, the theory of evolution, the survival of the fittest. And, we've clung to that. But they are now discovering that it's not about the survival of the fittest, but those that will survive are those who are able to adapt to change with the most ease and grace. So when things change, and things are changing, folks, I mean, they are, if we can just go with the flow, have that faith and trust in that process, then we can just ride through the storm and be okay at the other side. But if I'm only focusing on the storm, chances are it's going to be a tough ride for us. Muji, love him. The only time grace really opens up inside the heart and really flowers is when we are willing to exchange you, our small you, for God. And when we exchange our small you for the real us, the real universal self. So it's about laying aside our small self, the self that's motivated and driven by external means and conditions, and taking that big you, the God self, and embracing that and living from that place. It's about us really, again, self-responsibility. Living, I love this, on independence. Living a life based on the voice of our souls rather than the voice of others. Not being affected by the good intentions and thoughts of others. We're so easily sucked into the need for approval. I can tell you from much experience that don't work. It's a tedious, painful journey if you're trying to please others. If we please ourselves, it's amazing how everything works out. But it also, the good news is when we please ourselves and choose love for ourselves, everyone else benefits by that. And so it's not a selfish path, it's actually a very enlightened path for us to do that. So we really need to release our judgments, release our path, step into our God being, our divinity, and ask ourselves, a simple question at the end of the day, a couple simple questions. Again, back to Marianne Williamson, I love this. Who have I not forgiven today? And start with yourself. Great to put your head on the pillow at the end of the day. Also, at the end of the day, did I love enough? Did I laugh enough? And did I make a difference? That's what's real. I mean, it's not about more stuff. It's not about more degrees. It's not about all this stuff out here that we have been programmed to think is what makes us worthy, but rather coming from the inside out. Living in joy, laughing, loving, and making a difference in the world. And I'm so delighted that so many people have stepped up in a huge way for this West Virginia adventure we're taking this week to help our brothers and sisters out there. It's been a lot of years since I've really been able to step into service, because Ellen can attest, in Florida, we had a lot of outreach, a lot of community service, thousands of people. And I got burnt out, and I just felt, I even said, many times, what, I've done enough service in this lifetime, I can just ride the rest. And but after a while, after I healed, after I, got strong again, I'm beginning to see the need that we are here to serve. And to see everyone step up and step in such a big way, serving each other in this community, and also being willing to reach out to our brothers and sisters all over. So ask ourselves, how can I be of greater service? It's different for everybody. For some people, it can just be as simple as a prayer. Ellen's doing a great little ministry now. She's sending a card every day. See, I'm going to hold you to it. She said, I'm going to send a card to someone every day. And she's touched base with people that we haven't seen in years, and it's been beautiful. It's just all these little things. They seem little, but they're not so little, because the one card, we got the most wonderful phone call back from Florida, a couple we haven't seen in years and years. So, and they were so thrilled. So it's, you know, you just don't know, but ask, go inside, see what your ministry is. And so we need to give everything up to God and just say, thy will be done. Thy will, not my will, be done. And if we do that, our greatest years, I mean, I know Hillary and Donald say our greatest years are yet to come, but truly, our greatest years are yet to come if we say, thy will, not my will, be done. And so it is. Namaste.
Namaste.